Hi everyone, this is Lunacy, and today I want to talk with you about Lion's Arch, the main city of Guild Wars 2. Recently, there has been some very interesting speculation about the old, original Lion's Arch possibly making a comeback. Now, I want to stress that this is just speculation. This might very well not happen, but personally, I am a believer. So today, let's talk about that. Lion's Arch originally felt much more like a pirate city. It really felt like a bunch of pirates had just come together, taken their ships and turned it into a bunch of buildings. However, this early version of Lion's Arch was destroyed pretty early on in the game at the finale of Season 1. It took a while to rebuild, but that is how we got our current version of Lion's Arch, and we've had that version for almost 7 years. Now, for years, people have been asking for a way to get back to that old version of Lion's Arch. For some people it's nostalgia, because of course there's a lot of memories there, and other people have never experienced it, so for them it's some kind of curiosity. And then there's also the other people who genuinely believe that old Lion's Arch was just better. Back in my day, Lion's Arch was much better than it is now. Thank you so much to ShyPies for drawing that. Now, whether old Lion's Arch was truly better than new Lion's Arch is of course subjective, and that's something we're going to talk about a little bit later on in this video. A common suggestion over the years has been to bring old Lion's Arch back as a Lunchbox. We've had loads of these, like the Mystic Sanctuary and the Armistice Bastion, and these bosses basically take you to a place with lots of services. Why not make a launch pass that takes you back to old Lion's Arch? And it looks like maybe, just maybe, ArenaNet might be doing that. As you might know, after many years, ArenaNet has started adding back the Season 1 content into the game, and we all know how that's gonna end. It's gonna end with an attack on old Lion's Arch. When this was announced, a lot of people started wondering, with ArenaNet bringing back all of this old Season 1 content, is this maybe finally the time that they also bring back old Lion's Arch? And personally, I thought there was zero chance that that was going to happen. But now, something very interesting has been discovered. If you complete the meta achievement for the first episode in Season 1, you unlock a secret collection. It looks like one of those collections where, if you complete all the episodes, you get something cool at the end. But here's the interesting part. This collection is called the Lion's Memory. Lion's Memory. Now, just think about this. Lion's Memory. Memory of Lion's Arch. Memory of old Lion's Arch? Could this maybe, just maybe, be that way for us to get back to old Lion's Arch? Is this the old Lion's Arch launch pass that we've been waiting for years? The item that you get from this collection is called the Lion's Prize, and we don't really know what it does. We don't know if this is that launch pass, but its description reads, "Time heals all wounds." The plot thickens. Heals all wounds? Could that be heals old Lion's Arch? Is it actually happening? I honestly think that this could make a lot of sense. ArenaNet knows that players have been asking for a way to get back to old Lion's Arch for years, and they probably have some nostalgia for it themselves. And now that with Season 1 they're restoring all of this old content anyway, I could totally see them restoring old Lion's Arch as well. It would be a really cool reward and the ultimate nostalgia. Now, I do realize that I am reaching here. There is no proof whatsoever that Lion's Prize is a Lion's Arch launch pass. I just think it would make a lot of sense. But it could be something else. It could be an item that you need for a brand new legendary. Maybe it is something else entirely. We simply do not know. Maybe you'll be watching this video years from now and you're sitting here like, wow, she is totally wrong and she has no clue what she's talking about. How could someone think this is an old Lion's Arch launch pass? Really, how can you possibly be this stupid? So please, don't set yourself up for disappointment. Maybe I just really want to believe in old Lion's Arch. This seems like a fantastic opportunity to talk about old Lion's Arch a little bit. A lot of you probably never even got to experience it. It wasn't even in the game for that long. Was old Lion's Arch really better than new Lion's Arch? Or are people just being blinded by nostalgia? In what ways was Old Lions Arch different? When I say Old Lions Arch, I am referring to the Lions Arch on Guilders 2 launch day, but of course the real original Lions Arch was in Guilders 1. You would reach Lions Arch after you let the Ascalonian refugees over the Shiver Peaks in the story, and the first time I set foot in Lions Arch is a moment that I will never forget. It kind of felt magical. I was 11 years old at the time, and it took me a long time to complete all these missions and get to Lions Arch. So when I got there and I saw all these players running around in the city, it truly felt like I had reached some amazing place. Long story short, Lions Arch was an iconic place in Guilders 1, and everyone was really excited to see it in Guilders 2. It got flooded and completely destroyed. But there was a new Lions Arch, built by pirates on top of the ruins of the old city. And that is the Lions Arch that we got at launch day. Let's take a closer look and let's talk about what was different. You can actually revisit parts of the old city in the personal story. So I played a lot of personal story just to give you this tour. The lore of this place is that it was originally a refuge for pirates, and you can really see that. Lots of the architecture is just ships turned into buildings. The city was a lot less pretty than the version that we know now. There were a lot of questionable wooden structures, and the whole city felt a bit more makeshift, like it wasn't planned out properly. But honestly, it's kind of had its charm. I think the biggest difference is that Old Lions Arch felt a lot more dense. In New Lions Arch, the main hub area is a massive empty square, but Old Lions Arch wasn't like that at all. There were much more buildings, and there were canals everywhere with tiny bridges crossing them. There were still empty open squares, but instead of having one big one, there were several smaller ones. Speaking of canals, there was also an underground sewer system under the city that you could explore. If you knew your way around these sewers, you could even find an underground Order of Whispers base here. And we have to talk about the NPCs.
By Ogden's hammer, what savings!
It's been over 8 years since Old Lions Arch was attacked, but we still quote that NPC to this day. Someone even made a fantastic remix out of that.
What savings! What savings! By Ogden's hammer, what savings!
Another thing which people might remember from Old Lions Arch is that the performance was notoriously bad. I remember the first time I went there, and it was a lot less magical than in Guilders 1. I was met with a super long loading screen, and once I stepped inside, my frame rate was absolutely terrible. Back in 2012, a lot of our hardware was a lot worse than it is now, but still, out of all the different cities in the game, Lions Arch kind of stood out. I remember that in the first beta, I was just avoiding it because I didn't want to wait for the super long loading screen, and I wasn't excited to walk around when the city was just a slideshow. Having said all that, is Old Lions Arch really better than New Lions Arch? Of course, the answer to this question is subjective, but here is my opinion. I like the old hangout area in Old Lions Arch with the bank and the trading post a lot more. Like I said, it felt a lot more dense and it felt much more like a real city. It was just a lot less empty and it felt a lot more like people would actually live there. But that doesn't mean that New Lions Arch doesn't have its merits too. I really like the Commodore's Quarter. Here you've got some really beautiful architecture and I really like getting lost in these alleyways. And there's other cool stuff as well. There is a hangout spot with musicians playing on a stage. There is an underground rave you can find, and the Deverell Gardens are really pretty now. The Deverell Gardens have this sort of marriage theme, and this is where a lot of in-game events get organized. Back in Old Lions Arch, this island was honestly really boring. In New Lions Arch, it's much nicer. I think my main issue with it is that the area around the bank is just kind of empty and in my opinion a little bit boring, but I do think that New Lions Arch is very pretty. The first time I went there I was honestly blown away, but Old Lions Arch felt a little bit more groundless. This might sound like a cop-out answer, but I think that in the end I like both versions for different reasons. Old Lions Arch is a part of this game's history, and it's a place where a lot of us have made a lot of memories. You can revisit it in a personal story, like I did for this video, but it's not really the same. I would love to go back and then see people hang out in front of the bank once again. Maybe, just maybe, the Lions Memory collection will take us back there. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much for watching the video. I've actually been somewhat consistent at posting one video every week, and I really hope you've been enjoying them. If you want to, you should definitely check out my Twitch channel over at twitch.tv/Levanity, where we talk about Guild Wars 2 all the time. Also, you can join my fantastic Discord server, which has got a ton of amazing people on there, and you can follow me at Twitter at Lara_IRL. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.